Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan Ki Jai Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai Sri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Sri brihadbhagavatamrita Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for coming on this auspicious morning. Weather is really cold, so really appreciate it. Don't put it on the floor, leave it on your lap. Next week I'll give you a folder so you can place it. Till then, take care of it. So, we are resuming our scripture study class after so many months, maybe years. We started it in December 2018. And then we started with Bhagavad Gita at the time. I can see some of you sitting here who are part of it. There is quite a few who are attending online. So if you are here for the scripture course, you would actually see this sheet. Now before I get started with this, I'm going to give you a bit of background. Now even before that, I'll just make a few announcements. So we are starting scripture study class. We'll be having at 10 o'clock every Saturday morning, starting from today. Most of the students are attending online. Some couldn't come today because they are down with sickness. But you will see in the next few weeks, devotees coming and joining us and giving us their Sangha. Now, if you have already registered using this media team number, +61 466 997 108. So you would have registered by sending your name and email ID to this WhatsApp number. Those of you who are attending online, or those of you who watch these classes later, if you like to actually join the course, you need to send your name and email ID to this number, +61 466 997 108. And then the media team will add you to will send me the list and I'll add you to the group, to the Google group. And whatever material that you have, I've already sent the mail. So those of you watching online, you can check your email for the same document which we'll be going through today. And I'll be sending more material as well. Now, as I said, scripture study class we are starting today. There is 2 more groups, classes we are starting on May 27th. One is a youth group. We already have about 61 small groups connected to our temple. And many of the different Namahatas, they have their own dedicated youth groups as well. So we are forming one youth group in a centralized location, so youth from different parts of our community as well as those who are new to Krishna consciousness, they also can come and participate. We are starting it on May 27. The media team will publish the details of the youth group later today. And that's for everyone within the age group of 14 to 30. I'm 43, but I'm still allowed because I'm one of the teacher. So if you are within that age group, either yourself or any of your friends or any of your friends' kids, you can, you're welcome to actually register for that. So the poster will actually carry all the details. And as I said, if you're not part of our WhatsApp group, you can scan it outside, just outside the temple room, you'll see the poster, you can scan and join, and you will receive the information about how to join the group today onwards, and the class is starting on 27th of May. The timing will be every Saturday evening 4 to 6 p.m. And we have a group of devotees who will be running those sessions. And we want to present spirituality in a way that is more relevant to the youth, relevant to people who are not used to Krishna consciousness, especially for the young minds. So we want to keep it more interactive, more activity based. So there'll be more games, more discussions. Yoga will also be a good part of it. And the Gopinath's youth group will be run by Nanda Gokul Prabhu, Matra Gokul Mataji, Kanika Mataji, Govardhan Prem Mataji. They both are yoga teachers. Myself, Krishna Bhakta Prabhu. So we have a team of devotees who will be running those sessions. So starting on 27th of May for people within the age group of 14 to 30. Final announcement, we are starting one other group, Bhakti Sangha group, on May 27th as well. And the class Bhakti Sangha will start from 6 p.m. in the evening. The idea is to again present, we already have a kids kirtan program that happens in the temple. But a lot of parents, they have been coming and they have been asking, is there any other program for the adults? So we are starting a Bhakti Sangha group that will be temple based. The classes will happen in the meeting room next to the kitchen, while the kids program will continue in the temple room. So class starts from 6, goes till 8, and we'll be serving prasad. For youth program also, we'll finish it with the prasad. So that's the plan. The information for Bhakti Sangha as well, you will see being published today. So feel free to join. The Bhakti Sangha groups will be run by Nityananda Pran Prabhu, Krishna Dharma Prabhu, Krishna Bhakta Prabhu, and myself. We'll be studying Bhagavad Gita systematically, but we'll also be doing other services and other activities together in the temple as well as outside. The kids program, that's going to start on May 27th. Sometimes the classes will happen in the temple, sometimes in the park opposite. Of course, the weather is not conducive now, but in summer we will take it to the park outside. Or sometimes it may be in the Crow's Nest Hall, the times whenever we teach yoga and other activities. So depending on what the format of the class is on for that week, the location will change. But the starting point will always be in the temple. So if the kids come here, we will make sure that they go and come back to the temple, and then the parents can take. So, because some of them, they may be using public transport, so that's why we thought we'll start early and finish early. So starts at 4 and finishes at 6. And coming back to our scripture study class, if any of you like to receive the material to follow these classes, please do register, sending your name and email ID to this number, +61 466 997 108. That's our temple media team. They will add your details to the list and they'll send it to me and I'll add you to the group. And from that point onwards, if you have already registered, please check your mail. Those of you attending online, we are going to go through the document now. So if any of you are here and you still don't have the copy, please get it from Ravi Prabhu. Those of you who came late, he has the copy. You can grab it now. We are going to go through it now. Okay, Sri Radha Gopinath Vaishnava Training Academy. That's a name Abhishek Prabhu and myself, we came up with a few years ago. It's not a formally registered name, but we thought this is how we would actually start having a bigger plan, and we want to offer different courses to people over the period of time. When we started scripture study class in 2018, about 4.5 years ago, one of the goals we had was to familiarize devotees, familiarize them to the Shastras, give them a bit of a flavor to hear from the Shastras, to go home, open the books and read. So initially when we started, we had a modest goal of finishing one chapter every week. It's not modest by any standard. So to cope with that, I had to rush through in some of the sessions. In fact, as soon as the information for this scripture class came out, few devotees texted me and asked a few questions. One of the frequently asked question was, Prabhu, will you be running these sessions a little slow? I said yes. Because when we started in 2018, at that time, for 20 years, so many times it was attempted to go through Bhagavad Gita end to end, but for some reason, we were never able to complete. So we didn't want to continue with the jinx, so we thought like, okay, no matter what, I'll be a little ruthless with the time. So we finished Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And then we finished Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Ishopanishad. And then during COVID, we started with Chaitanya Charitamrita. Again, we went through end to end. You can find all those classes in our YouTube channel, ISKCON Sydney. And then now I thought, we had also started srimadbhagavatam. I thought we can go end-to-end summary of srimadbhagavatam. And I had even started preparing a few cantos. And then I actually realized probably it'll be easier if we first go through brihadbhagavatamrita. And it'll make more sense when I touch on that later today, in today's session. We still have time. Why I had to change the approach? It's like, how many of you have read Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita? Put your hand up, even partly. Yeah. You're our well-wisher. Which one did you read first? Well-wisher. I know some devotees who have read Prabhupada Leelamrita first. When I came to Krishna consciousness, nobody told me the order. So first book I read was Nectar of Devotion. Second was Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Third was Bhagavad Gita. And then I realized I've been reading in the reverse order. So you can read Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita and you're our well-wisher, or you can reverse the order also. It's the same. You can read the abridged version first and then the elaborate version, or the other way around. So same way, when I started preparing for Srimad Bhagavatam, I thought because of the enormity of the work, 12 cantos, 18 volumes, I had a certain goal in mind. I thought I'll finish a canto in 4 sessions. But then I realized it's going to take 4 months, even if I summarize it. Then I thought if we go through this one first, we'll be able to cover Bhagavatam end to end at a decent pace. So that's our next plan after finishing brihadbhagavatamrita. So my wish list is long. Without further ado, let's get started with this. So today, for rest of today's session, probably for another 35-40 minutes, we'll quickly go through this. And then we'll get started with brihadbhagavatamrita. Today we'll be covering the Mangalacharan prayers. It's just the first 10 verses. So I thought I'll go through those verses one after the other. But the format we'll be following for brihadbhagavatamrita is we'll take section of verses and we'll discuss them together. So that's the format we are going to follow. How long will it take? We'll come to that later. But first let's go through this one because this document is important. Again, I prepared this in 2018. I just added Sri Radha Gopinath's Vaishnava Training Academy and I added few more changes in the verses to recite, but otherwise the crux of this document is still the same. Aim to read, assimilate and apply the teachings of Lord Krishna as given in Srila Prabhupada's books. in our life. So this is the aim of this course. Objectives. Difference between aim and objective. Aim is the goal. Objective is how you convince yourself that you have achieved that goal. You understand? So objectives are more tangible achievements. So if you can tick these boxes, these 5 of them, then you can say, okay, I've reached my goal. Does that make sense? So objectives is how you test whether you have achieved the goal. Whereas aim is the goal. So objectives to demonstrate the spiritual teachings in our day-to-day activities. To develop deeper conviction in following Bhakti Yoga process, especially hearing, chanting and reading the scriptures. To be able to explain any philosophical point clearly and convincingly. To be able to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books and develop a spiritual outlook in our life. Very important. I always share this famous quote of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. In this world, difficulties or miseries are inevitable. Suffering is optional. Death will come. Disease will come. Difficulties will come. So they all come under miseries. They are going to come and affect us. But how we react to them, that's up to us. So if we develop a spiritual outlook in our life, it becomes very easy to face life. And finally, to be able to do devotional service in a humble mood as a genuine servant of Sri Radha Gopinath and their devotees. So these are the objectives of this course. The scope to understand the Bhakti Yoga philosophy. I'll read a quote of Srila Prabhupada that's printed at the back of this book. What Prabhupada said about this book, Brihadbhagavatamrita. Prabhupada says, anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service and Krishna. In other words, Bhagavan, Bhakta and Seva. Whoever wants to know about these 3 must read this book. This is quote of Srila Prabhupada at the back of this book. Okay, so it's a very, very important book. I'll touch on the history of this book later today. So understanding the Bhakti Yoga philosophy, reading the scriptures regularly, learning to apply the spiritual wisdom in one's life. So that's what we are trying to achieve. What format are we going to follow every Saturday? 9:50 a.m. We would like to invite volunteers to come here and do Kirtan. Krishna Bhakta Prabhu is good at playing Mridanga. So if anyone like to start doing Kirtan from 9:50 onwards, feel free. Harmonium is here, you can use it. You can use Kartal. If you can't play, you can just clap and sing, no problem. You're welcome to start Kirtan, 9:50 or even earlier. 10:05, we will start to recite srimadbhagavatam verses. I'll come to that shortly. 10:15 to 11:15, we are going to have 1 hour class. And I'm your teacher. 11:15 a.m., we'll open the floor for any questions, thoughts, any realizations you'd like to share. And 11:30, Prem Sagar Prabhu has kindly offered to serve us nice prasad every week. He said he has cooked spaghetti today. So we'll serve you. And at this point, I'll just share with you some of the interesting questions I received from devotees and from other people I don't know. I just received text messages. Will you be serving prasad as part of this course? Yes. One is asking, Prabhu, I can't attend the class in person because I'm taking my son for a sports nearby. I promise I'll still attend the class online. Am I allowed to come and take prasad? Sure. I texted back to him adding that even if you don't attend the class, no problem. Come here for prasad. And I'm telling this to anyone and everyone. This is Radha Gopinath's mercy. Prem Sagar Prabhu is happy to cook. Ravi Sankam Prabhu will happily feed anybody who comes here. So you're welcome to come and take. Even if you happen to wake up late in the morning, you're still welcome to come and take prasad at 11:30. If you come early, you can take breakfast. But no takeaways, please. Okay, so 11:30, we will take prasad and Haribol. Verses to recite. I have listed my wish list here. But the first item, prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, very important. Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj is the topic on which Srila Prabhupada has given maximum number of Bhagavatam classes. So many instances, Srila Prabhupada would cry seeing the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. At midnight, he would wake up his servants and he would talk about Prahlad Maharaj. So, our course may take 4 months, 5 months. If at the end of the course we end up reciting only Prahlad Maharaj's prayers and memorize probably a dozen of them, that's a great achievement. So as much as possible, we'll be sticking to Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. But if the course gets extended for a long time, and you can see how long it can potentially go, that's why I added few more prayers by Dhruva Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, Queen Kunti, my favorite prayers, Bhishma Dev, Gajendra. And Bhagavatam has so many, dozens of prayers. But realistically, if we can cover only Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, so I'll give you the handouts next week. And if you're registered, soft copy will always be sitting in your email. But whoever who comes here, I'll have your handouts ready and I'll give you a folder as well. That's how lazy I can potentially make you, but I'll still buy these for you. Just come here and relish brihadbhagavatamrita. Homework, reading the prescribed weekly study material for 2 hours. Now, brihadbhagavatamrita has 3 volumes. Brihadbhagavatamrita has 14 chapters only, spread across 3 such books, 3 volumes. And this is how the total brihadbhagavatamrita set looks like. It costs $70, at least as of the last year price, unless it has actually gone up. We are placing order. If any of you like to get it, I'll try to get it this week, latest by the following week. Okay, so you can come here and grab. I'll have it available in the book table as well, so any day when you actually come. Or if you want to buy something on Saturday morning, if you send the text to that number, they'll reserve it for you. You can come and grab it. It has 14 chapters and it has 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is 1 book and part 2 is 2 books. I'm going to rub it off. Sri brihadbhagavatamrita. So it has part 1 and part 2. This is 1 book. This is 2 books. So total 3. So today we'll start with part 1. Sri is a term that is used for addressing in a honorific sense. So we call Srila Prabhupada. Sri invokes auspiciousness. Sri refers to somebody who is blessed by the goddess of fortune. As much as possible, please don't put it on the floor, the sheet. Leave it on your lap or hold it on your hand, just for today. Brihad meaning big, Bhagavatamrita. Amrita means nectar. Bhagavata here refers to all 3. Bhagavan, Bhakta and Seva and devotional service. So this is Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It has 2 parts. Part 1 has got 1 book and part 2, 2 books. Part 1 has got 7 chapters. Part 2 also, across those 2 books, 7 chapters. So total 14 chapters. Part 1 discusses about Sri Bhagavad Kripa Sara Nidara. It discusses about Narada Muni's quest to find who's the most favored devotee, dearest devotee. Who's the devotee among all the devotees of Krishna who had received the maximum mercy. It's very hard, right? You come on a festival. We just recently had a festival on anniversary. Narottam Prabhu had cooked a beautiful feast. Who is most fortunate? Anyone with a plate of prasadam, correct? And if there are 100 devotees there holding plate of prasad, who is the most fortunate among them? Very difficult to say. It depends on what capacity the devotee has devotionally, physically also, how much can they relish. It's very hard to see the subtle difference. But somebody like Narada Muni, in a similar context wherein everyone is a devotee, and you will see the kind of devotees he'll be going and talking to, they are all not ordinary devotees. Prahlad Maharaj, Indra, Shiva, Brahma, Hanuman, Pandavas, Uddhava, Gopis. So everyone is on Uttamadhikari platform only, but even among them. So it's a very deep topic, confidential topic. Bhagavatamrta is considered as the essence of srimadbhagavatam. So we all know srimadbhagavatam is an eternal science, but was spoken recently. The most recent version was spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami 5,000 years ago to Parikshit Maharaj. So Shukadeva Goswami, over a period of 7 days, he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. He doesn't wait for Parikshit Maharaj to leave his body. He finishes the Bhagavatam class, and just like any other Bhagavatam speaker would do, he just gets off the Vyasasana and he just walks away. That's it. I have given the knowledge. Yeah, he'll do good. He'll just walks away. And now Parikshit Maharaj is there, ready to board the plane to Vaikunta and go back to spiritual world. And there were so many different people with a different level of spiritual understanding in that group. And you will see reference to them being made in different sections of Bhagavatam as well. There are different sages. There are yogis, there are Mishra Bhaktas, Karma Mishra Bhaktas, Jnana Mishra Bhaktas. So Parikshit Maharaj, after having heard the Bhagavatam in its entirety, he sits in one place meditating, preparing to go to spiritual world. And it is at that time his mother. What's the name of Parikshit Maharaj's mother? So we know Pandavas, there are 5. Arjuna is one of them. Arjuna married Subhadra Maharani. Their son is Abhimanyu. He married Uttara. Their son is Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj, after having heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami, as he was getting ready to go back to spiritual world, Uttara, who is his mother, approaches him. And how, as would any normal mother would feel towards the son who is about to leave. So she comes with that anxiety. And he is not an ordinary child. She is not an ordinary personality. She has dealt with everyone. You look at her exalted position. Her husband is none other than great Abhimanyu, valorous Abhimanyu. She has associated with Arjuna and Subhadra Maharani. Subhadra Maharani, we know her position. We worship her. Her son is Parikshit Maharaj. Again, no ordinary personality. She has associated with Krishna. She has associated with the Pandavas. You name it. Bhishmadev. Very exalted personality. So, when she rushes to meet Parikshit Maharaj with her motherly anxiety, Parikshit Maharaj doesn't mince much words. He just simply addresses her, offering his respects with just a couple of lines. And third line, he just reminds her about the philosophical truth of this life. So literally, by using just 2 or 3 sentences, she elevates her consciousness again. She's already an elevated personality, but she has that anxiety as a mother. Oh, he's going to die. But then simply looking at her, greeting her, and reminding her that all of us are servants of Krishna, he removes that anxiety completely. And now she's in a blissful state because she knows he's just going to spiritual world. In fact, it's a reason to celebrate. At that point, she puts a very interesting question which pleases Parikshit Maharaj. And when you see those questions which she asks, and she will ask a few more questions also as we progress on this first part, Prabhupada says in one place, usually the sons, they take the quality of the mother, and daughters, they take the qualities of the father. Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, usually daughters, they inherit a lot of qualities. Daughters are like the father, and sons usually they will be like the mother. All along those 12 cantos, you will see Parikshit Maharaj questioning Shukadeva Goswami. He even puts forth the question to other sages before the arrival of Shukadeva Goswami. And you will be amazed how attentive he is. You will be amazed with his devotional acumen, how he is able to put such nice questions to evoke a profound reply from his teacher, Shukadeva Goswami. But when you read Uttara's questions, you know where he is getting that trait from. Her questions will be even more deeper. And he would get very pleased, saying, only you can ask this question. Like one question for her would be, normally devotees go to Vaikuntha. But my heart would actually go in pain if I know Yashoda Maharani and Nanda Maharaj, even if they go to Vaikuntha, why would anyone's heart will pain? But that's the word she uses. Because she knows somebody worshipping Krishna, somebody dealing with Krishna, serving Krishna as their own, more than their own life. They deserve personal association of the Lord. So she says, I can't accept them going to Vaikuntha. So her questions will be like that. It's not about, how to chant 16 rounds, how to wade through the difficulties in this material world, in our material life. So these questions won't be ordinary. So that's why first she comes with the anxiety, he relieves her of the anxiety, and immediately she puts forth the question, oh my dear son, you have heard from Shukadeva Goswami the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Please tell me. She uses the word Shipram quickly. Why? Because she knows he's going to leave. Is that, you just put yourself in that position, right? If somebody is very near and dear to us when they are going, what will be our most overwhelming anxiety? Their knowledge? Our bhakti? Please don't go. That's what we'll be crying, correct? But she, true to her own elevated, exalted status, she knows he's going to leave. So she says, she uses an analogy there. She says, just like how the demons and demigods, they churned nectar out of the ocean of milk, similarly, you have now grasped the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, churn it, and then please tell me the essence. How? Quickly. She doesn't want to miss out on the nectar. So this is the background in which brihadbhagavatamrita is spoken. So when Parikshit Maharaj hears that question, he smiles, acknowledges about the exalted nature of his mother, her question, and then he starts to narrate. He has to quickly think through whatever he had heard. 12 cantos he has to squeeze, and he has few moments left. So then he squeezes the essence of all the 12 cantos. That's why in brihadbhagavatamrita you will see personalities from different cantos coming. Prahlad Maharaj, Hanuman, Uddhava, 11th canto, Hanuman, 8th canto, Prahlad Maharaj, 7th canto. You will come across everyone. So he thinks through and then he just takes the essence, takes the best of the devotees. But as he does that, if you follow that whole sojourn, you will also understand the different realms of this material as well as spiritual world. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we always say 5th canto talks about Vedic cosmology. But there are some information you can't really fully reconcile just looking at that, so you look at other references. Bhagavatamrita is one such source. If you study Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, keeping brihadbhagavatamrita from a Vedic cosmology perspective, you will find brihadbhagavatamrita filling a lot of gaps there. It will give you much more deeper understanding. Likewise, Brahma Samhita is also one other source that will actually give us more deeper insight. So, brihadbhagavatamrita, this is the context in which it is actually spoken. Now, Parishit Maharaj has a son, Janamejaya. So just like if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam starts with the discussion of the 88,000 sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi, discussion between him and Sutta Goswami. And they in turn narrate conversation between Parishit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami in turn will narrate conversations of different personalities. Okay, conversation within conversation, like Panchatantra stories. Within conversation, conversation, meta-conversation, like that. Likewise, brihadbhagavatamrita, it starts with Janamejaya, who actually heard Mahabharata 2 times from 2 different authors, 2 different versions. Can you believe? If you think after 5,000 years we have multiple versions, Janamejaya has heard 2 versions. First he hears from Vaishampayana. If you read Vishnu Sahasranam, Vaishampayana, Shrutva Dharmana Seshena Pavananisha Sarvasaha Yudhishthira Shantanavam Punare Vapya Bhashata, that Vaishampayana. So he hears from Vaishampayana and he hears the same Mahabharata from Jaimini Rishi. So this he hears. Parishit Maharaj has already spoken to his mother Uttara. Parishit Maharaj has gone back to Godhead. Now Janamejaya, he is hearing Mahabharata first from Vaishampayana. After hearing Mahabharata from Vaishampayana, he asks Vaishampayana, is there any other supplement to this? You know, every book will have its appendix. In Sanskrit, the term is called Khila. Khila means any appendix or supplement to any text. So after hearing Mahabharata from Vaishampayana, he asks Vaishampayana, is there any supplement to your version of Mahabharata? And in response to that, he narrates Harivamsa. That's the name of the text. This also has got a lot of stories, but this is a supplementary text to the Mahabharata of Vaishampayana. And by the way, the only version, modern version that is still available is Vaishampayana's version. What we read now from BBT or any other source, it's Vaishampayana's text. Likewise, so he hears from him both, he is satisfied. Later on, he gets association of Jaimini Rishi. Jaimini Rishi is a very exalted personality, pure devotee of the Lord. Vedavyasa, he is one of Vedavyasa's direct disciples. Vedavyasa, after compiling the Vedas, in order to propagate the Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva, he assigned each one of the Vedas to his different disciples. And to Jaimini Rishi, he assigned the most important of the 4 Vedas. Anyone remembers from 10th chapter, Vedanam, Krishna says, among the Vedas I am? Sama Vedasmi. So he was entrusted Sama Veda. So whatever humanity knows about Sama Veda, which talks about pure devotional service, comes from him, which was given to him by Vedavyasa. So he was given a very most important task. So he's a pure devotee of the Lord. Same Mahabharata which he heard from Vaishampayana, he hears with his Bhaktivedanta purports and he feels thrilled. And Janamejaya tells to Jaimini Rishi, I have heard different versions of, I have heard Mahabharata before from Vaishampayana, but the one which you are actually telling, I have never heard any other explanation like this. Because he preaches Mahabharata in its pure devotional version. Sometimes people read Mahabharata and they get confused because it talks about morality, talks about dharma, and they say this is topmost. Vaishampayana's version. Unfortunately, that's the only thing that's available in modern times. The one which Janamejaya heard from Jaimini, it's not readily available. However, Janamejaya, same as the question he put forth to Vaishampayana, asking him, is there any supplement to your version of Mahabharata, for which he heard Harivamsa? He puts the same question to Jaimini, saying, you have given this beautiful work, this is very thrilling, very inspiring, I have never heard any other version of Mahabharata like this before, I would like to know more. Madhurena Samapayat, it's given. Madhurena Samapayat means, in Vedic culture, everything should have a happy ending. There's no tragic ending in poignant stories. If they write a drama, if they write Shastra, if they sing also, Madhurena Samapayat, you will see this term being used quite often in Chaitanya Charitamrita especially, you will see. When the discussion comes about analysis of the literary work of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, you will come across that. So, Janamejaya puts forth the question to Jaimini Rishi saying, Madhurena Samapayat, you have already shared the nectarian Mahabharata with me. I feel so thrilled knowing about Krishna. Now I want to know more. Is there any other supplementary text? And Jaimini narrates the supplementary text. Take a guess, what's the name? You can use the other door and you can come. Just use the other door. Take a guess, what's the supplement to the Mahabharata version of Jaimini? Louder? Sri Brihadbhagavatamrita.
But isn't Sri Brihadbhagavatamrita a version of Uttara and Parikshit Maharaj's formulation?
Correct. That's the one. So Sri Brihadbhagavatamrita. Even though this version of Mahabharata, we don't have it readily available, thankfully the essence is still here. And this is placed on par with Srimad Bhagavatam itself. That's how pure this is. Okay, we need to understand the significance of this work. So this is the supplement to the devotional version of Mahabharata which Jaimini recited to Janamejaya. Upon his request, he then gives the supplement to Mahabharata. And that is Sri Brihadbhagavatamrita. Okay? And Brihadbhagavatamrita, when he starts to narrate Uttara coming to Parikshit Maharaj, and what question she asked and what Parikshit Maharaj is going to narrate further. So this is the first level of conversation. This is how Brihadbhagavatamrita will start. Does that make sense? This is the equivalent of sages of Naimisharanya. Okay, this is the first level, and Jaimini will be narrating conversation between these two personalities. Okay, so that's how Sri Brihadbhagavatamrita flows. So as I said, we still have some time. We can quickly go through any questions.
Yes.
Okay, on this. If it's anything related to this, we can come during the question session. I just want to make sure that you have this context proper. I'll come one at a time.
Where Srimad Bhagavatam ends, the Srimad Bhagavatam starts.
Where Brihad Bhagavatam, yeah, you can say it like that. This is the essence of, so it's like this. Parikshit Maharaj is the student of Srimad Bhagavatam and he is the teacher of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Just like you are attending the class today, you go out and you give a class of based on what you heard. That's Brihad Bhagavatamrita and this is Bhagavatam. Does that make sense? Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, and then when he became the teacher, he gives the essence of that as Brihad Bhagavatamrita. I'll come to you. Yes?
I wanted to ask, describes the summary of the talk between Parikshit and Uttara, told by Jaimini Rishi to his son.
You want to know how is this
How is
the...
this possible? Right?
Good. How is this possible meaning?
As in, how come Jaimini Rishi knew the conversation that Uttara and Parikshit had?
Good question. You know, sometimes you start to describe and you feel as a teacher, I've already gone deep, I don't want to lose the students, and then you withhold information. That's one of the information I withheld deliberately. Jaimini, he is one of the students along with Parikshit Maharaj in the same assembly when Parikshit Maharaj heard Bhagavatam. Jaimini himself reveals how he knew about this conversation. He says, after Parikshit Maharaj has heard, because he was in the assembly of so many different sages, and people are not pure devotees, all of them. So he was keeping himself aloof from all of them, and he's sitting alone in meditation. And you imagine, somebody is gonna die. What do you think everyone else will do? Go and ask for autograph? Definitely not. You'll just leave them at peace. They are deliberating something, okay, they are preparing. So everyone stayed away, he was sitting alone. Uttara approaches Parikshit Maharaj when he was alone. At that time, Jaimini Rishi, when he speaks to Janamejai, he reveals Shukadev Goswami specifically directed him to be in their company. So he was the third person in that conversation.
Okay, so he was present.
He was physically present. He himself says that. It's in the verse.
But he does not intervene in that conversation.
He didn't intervene. He is the secondary audience there. It's a personal conversation between a mother and son, but knowing his exalted stature, he himself says, by mercy of Shukadev Goswami, I was allowed to hear there. I was there. Good question. Yes, Prabhuji.
The Sri Brhagavatamrta, which is available on ISKCON Repository, is that basically the three books.
I haven't read. This is the BBT version. This is by Gopi Pranatana Prabhu. Yes.
Sorry, I don't know if I missed it because so Sri Bhagavatamrta comes after Bhagavatam and it's a dialogue between Parikshit Maharaj and Uttara.
Correct. So just to repeat for those of you who came late, I'll repeat again. Yes.
Sorry, but sorry to interrupt, but Parikshit Maharaj literally had 7 days when he heard the Bhagavatam and then he's supposed to depart. So when did
This conversation happen? Good question. We started with that, as I said, for those who came late or joined online late, I'll repeat it. So after Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami for 7 days, after having heard Shukadev Goswami has already left the assembly, he was just sitting alone, preparing for the impending departure. At that time, his mother Uttara approaches him and asking him to, first of all, telling him, you have heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, the entire work of Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami himself. Can you please give me the essence of what you heard quickly? So she puts the request, you please share with me what you heard from Shukadev Goswami in an essence. And she uses an analogy, just like how the demons and demigods, they churned the nectar out of the ocean of milk. Similarly, please churn and give me just the essence. And in answer to that, he speaks this. Okay? Looks like we won't touch. No problem. Continue. It's new for us. Yes. Yeah.
This conversation was between Parikshit and Uttara Maharani.
Yes.
But then this book is by Sanatana Goswami.
Yes.
So this conversation happened 5,000 years back in Sanatana
Yeah.
Goswami.
Yeah.
500 years.
Thank you for this opportunity. I was going to actually offer my respects. I heard Brihadbhagavatamrita twice in 2 different seminars across so many days, recordings of it by His Holiness Bhakticharya Swami Maharaj. Like normally if I prepare for any special topic like that, I first check whether Bhakticharya Maharaj has actually spoke on that. Because Maharaj has this genius, he has this skill to actually narrate complex philosophical point so effortlessly, brand new person can understand. Reason why I'm citing Maharaj here is, same question was asked to Maharaj in one of the class. How does Sanatana Goswami, where is Sanatana Goswami in this picture? I like this class. Based on the questions. That means you are attentive, I can't cheat you. Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Sanatana Goswami who is the author of this book, is Rati Manjari, direct associate of Srimati Radharani. In some places, she is also known as Lavanga Manjari. And because of her exalted position, she had access. If you look at how Goswamis, they excavated, lost places of pastimes in Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, specifically he will send different devotees, like Tapan Mishra, he sends from Bangladesh all the way, you go to Kashi. Why Kashi? On one hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunla, however, Sarvanashi says, you don't hear anything about, but he's sending him to the den of Mayavadi. But he had a mission, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to go there in future. Likewise, he sends two of his closest associates to Vrindavan. And the reason is, if you read that, Prabhupada actually writes, they were manjaris in Vrajalila, and they know exactly same position, what pastime, where it happened. So long before even the 6 Goswamis go, the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually go there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically gives them services to identify these places. And they pass that information, or they actually make the groundwork there. And then Goswamis go there and further develop there. So you will see it like that. Coming to your question, when this question was asked to Maharaj, Maharaj said, just like you were saying even in the class, I'm speaking now, you are recording it. It's a technology. Somebody else will actually hear some other time. Likewise, there are 13 witnesses for any activity that happens in this world. Bhagavatam says, nature also records all the information. And someone of the stature of Sanatana Goswami, they know how to tap that information from the nature. And you will see that technology in many places. Like for example, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day he does holy name Harinam, and then he looks towards a village and he says, Narottam, 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 like that. Nobody knows who Narottam is, because Narottam came after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Narottam Das Thakur. And then Nityananda Prabhu knows who Narottam Das Thakur is, of course. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to the river Padma, he dips fully, and then when he comes out, he tells to Nityananda Prabhu, I have invested all Krishna Prema in this water, and Narottam Das Thakur will take it. That's like sometimes I think, everyone has a locker, that's a certain type of a locker. And then Nityananda Prabhu specifically asks Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how do we know the one who is coming is actually Narottam Das Thakur? He says that personality, when he enters into this waters of this river will overflow. And then with that you identify that person as Narottam Das Thakur. So other associates, of course Nityananda Prabhu is asking this question not for him, because even he won't be around. He is asking it for other associates. So everyone hears that, and later on that's exactly what happens. When Narottam Das Thakur appeared, at that time his father was a great king. And the astrologer comes, actually one yogi, he comes and he looks at his astrological chart and he says, he'll be a great Mahashya, he'll be a great elevated soul, and he will take up renunciation. The king gets shocked because he is his only son, heir apparent, he doesn't want to lose him. So then the yogi tells him, well, if you want to keep him, I can tell you this much, to the extent that you can keep this child away from that river. If he goes to that river, he also doesn't know why, but that's how much the astrological chart says. If he goes to the river, that's it, you lose. So from childhood onwards, Narottam Das Thakur, whenever he looked at the river from far, he would always want to go, and his parents were like restraining him. And then later on, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day he goes, dips, And then we know what happened after that. So like that, Maharaj says, nature records the information. Astrology works like that. So same way, a great personality like Sanatana Goswami, they know how to unwind the secrets of nature, extract the information and give it to us. Okay. This is also a technology which we are yet to fathom. By the way, you see this one? This is also one question. Prabhu, will the sound quality be better this time? One devotee asked. So this is actually gifted to me by one devotee who is attending class, who wants to remain online yesterday. And I just learned just before starting the class. I told the other brahmacharis, please test it. But only request he put is, Prabhu, only you should be using it. I said 100%, I promise I will be using. Things like this, I would assume, would be expensive. Talking about contribution, even this, I'm very impressed with how nicely, our community members are taking care of this. This is actually sponsored by Malabika Mataji, Manasvi Mataji, I think that's her name now. 4.5 years ago. And we are still doing very well. So anyway, so that's a different type of technology, just like this. See, it evolves. Last time we struggled, hopefully we won't struggle with this. And I hope online devotees can hear clearly as well. So that's how this knowledge is transferred. Okay, so this is how you see Sanatana Goswami taking that information.
So what are the 13 different witnesses?
Good question. I will somehow find a relevance for those 13 witnesses later in one of the classes and I'll let you know. We just need to, today's first class, I just want to start invocation. Okay. Mangalacharan. If you remember Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are 3 purposes for Mangalacharan. Mangala means auspiciousness. Even when we do Homa, we sing Swasti Vachana, Om Punantuma Deva Janaha, Punantumanasa Diyaha, we recite. Same way, Mangalacharan, when we recite this before studying Shastras or before hearing Shastras, it creates a certain ambience, both inside and outside, that makes us more receptive to receiving the knowledge. And there are 3 purposes for reciting Mangalacharan. First purpose, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, is Namaskar, to offer our obeisances, pranam, to the Supreme Lord and to all the devotees. And here you will see the different personalities who Sanatana Goswami offers his respects to. As I said, just this section alone, I'll go through verse by verse, just the translation, because it's so important to prepare our consciousness. This is like the Adiva ceremony. So it's very, very important that we prepare our consciousness properly so we can be the worthy recipients. We may still be unworthy. We are the fortunate recipients, that may be more apt, of this mercy which Srila Sanatana Goswami is giving. So he'll offer respects to Srimati Radharani, all the gopis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to the Dham, Mathura Dham, so on and so forth you will see. So first 10 verses are important. I'll quickly read them through. I'll elaborate little. We have time till 11:30. Because I took questions already, I'm going to take your time now. Back. It works both ways, come on. So I'll quickly read this. So the first purpose of Mangalacharan is Namaskar, to offer respects. Second purpose, Vastu Nirdesh, you establish the object of worship. Why you are doing what you are doing? Who do you want to worship through this work or to this devotional activity that you are about to embark on? So Namaskar. Second is Vastu Nirdesh. And the third is Ashirvad. This also gives us benediction, like Falastuti, what benefit you will get. Okay, so Mangalacharan establishes these 3 always. First, it offers respects to the object of worship. It establishes the object of worship, Vastu Nirdesh. Then it offers respects, and it also offers benedictions, who offers these respects. So Sanatana Goswami, he starts this book. As I said, there are 14 chapters in this book, but you have to understand, he is actually taking 18,000 verses and is giving in just 3 small books, relatively speaking. So you can understand how much each verse which he has actually written should be loaded with spiritual information. As a teacher, my challenge here is, if I go too much detail, then the class will go very slow. But if I go too fast, then you will miss information. Somehow we have to balance these two. Because after this, we want to actually read Srimad Bhagavatam. Somehow. So I'll try to maintain the pace. That's why I'm saying I read this once, read twice, thrice, and then I realized, okay, I can go section by section, touching on important points. But wherever, some of them they need more, and you will see that more in part 2. Part 1 at least we have come across quite a bit. Part 2, there are so much information there which we usually don't get to hear. Like especially about the holy places, Dham, spiritual world, cosmology comes in, different levels of the universe, in each shell who is worshipping who, all of that. So technicalities is there. I'll touch on Vedic cosmology as and when, just to set the context when we go there. But let us start with this. Just the Mangalacharan alone, I'll go verse by verse. And after that, I will try to maintain the balance. I try to simplify it as much as possible. And I'll keep repeating it every time so you don't lose the context. Okay, so there are 7 chapters. And every chapter would actually set some context. So this particular chapter is titled Bhauma. Bhauma means earth. So this is happening in earth, which means other chapters won't be happening in earth. It will be happening in other realm. And they'll set the context clearly, where exactly it's actually happening. The chapter 1 is titled Bhauma, on the earth. First verse. All glories to that inconceivable Lord who descended to bestow the gift of perfect love for his own lotus feet. Who is it? Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One bit of information that is very valuable to know is Sanatana Goswami wrote this book during the physical manifested pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu was still performing pastime. He himself refers to that in one of the verses. So he was writing it at that time. This is not written after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. During the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this book was written. So he's saying he's an ocean filled with many kind of sweetness, and he always bears the fragrance of fresh youth. In his form as Sri Chaitanya, he has realized the last extreme of transcendental experience, the love residing eternally in the gopis. Text 2. All glories above all to the gopis headed by Sri Radhika. So first he offers respects to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would again and again offer. So then he is offering respects to all the gopis headed by Srimati Radharani, who are famous as the Lord's dearmost devotees. No one can even begin to properly describe the charm of their supreme affection for Sri Hari. Realizing that the ecstasy of his beloved devotees is even sweeter than his own. Just one pastime comes to mind. Krishna, when he is in Dwaraka, he would play a game of dice with his queens. And it is said Krishna always wins. And the way how he wins is, he won't cheat anyone, but he'll still win. Krishna, he knows the psychology of all of us. 8.4 million species. He knows exactly how a dog feels, mosquito feels. He knows everything. Spiritual personalities also. He also knows how dice is also a personality, right? He knows. So the dice, all of us have our own favorite spiritual personalities. Even if you take Bhagavatam, we have our own favorite sections. We are neophytes, we still have the tendency. But in spiritual realm also, we have spiritual desires. So these dice, they love to hear glories of his devotees. So when Krishna is playing with Rukmini ji, when his turn comes, as he is ready to roll the dice, at that time specifically he'll start to glorify devotees. He'll start to glorify devotees and then he will roll. And if Krishna doesn't get the number he likes, he will continue to glorify. Until the dice in his ecstasy, he'll be rolling and he'll stop at that time. He says like, so this is how it's said, Krishna has that sweet relationship. So Krishna always loves to glorify his devotees, even otherwise, more so when he is playing the game of dice. The Lord descended to this world, realizing that the ecstasy of his beloved devotees is even sweeter than his own. Out of greed, the Lord descended to this world in the form of his own devotee. Dressed as a renunciant, golden in effulgence, he bears the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya. All glories to that Lord Hari. Srinivas Acharya's father, he comes to the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. What's the name of the place? Katwa. So in Katwa, there are many people, you know that famous story when one barber, he was trying to, speaking about that, in Mayapur, as we were driving towards our temple, this is after Srivasangan, after Yogapit, between that space and there, I went to Mayapur recently, a month ago, and there was one deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his sannyas vesh who was there, very close to Bhaktivedanta Hospital, you will see. I remember 10 years ago, once when I was traveling with my Guru Maharaj was looking at it and he said, this is not the mood. Because devotees in Navadvip Dham, they don't like to worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in sannyas vesh. Their heart gets broken. They are used to dealing with him as either naughty Nimai or Nimai Pandit, curly hair, Ajana Lambita Bujau. You know, he's a very tasteful dresser, it's given. He wears beautiful garlands. He loves sandalwood pulp. He loves actually applying perfume on his body, so on and so forth. So my Guru Maharaj was actually saying, they have just installed it here. Maybe they didn't think it, but this in one sense, it's more like a rasabas. This time when I was actually going, I looked there. I was feeling so happy because same deity, now they dressed as Nimai Pandit. I was feeling so blissful. Wow, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's actually showing different form there. I went after like 8 years now. This time when I went, he's showing his Nimai Pandit form. So, he's saying he bears the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So, Srinivas Acharya's father, he goes to Katwa. And when the barber was about to shave his hair, there were thousands of people around. They were all shouting, don't shave, because they were thinking if they shave, the barber shaves, that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to become sannyas. And nobody wants Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take sannyas. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells, shave. But then the barber is now in a fix. On one hand, there is this hundreds of thousands of people who say, don't shave. And he knows what his position will be if he goes out. So he is very scared. And he also doesn't want to do. He is Supreme Lord, curly hair, who would want to do? And it's a very emotionally heart-rending section. You will see. But then he shaves. After shaving, he drops the knife. Chaitanya Leela says he has never touched that knife again. He stops his profession. And because he touched the Lord's hair, it's given whatever he touches in cooking will taste like nectar. He opened a sweet shop after that. It's given like that. No, it's given. He said like, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm not going to shave anyone. He just threw it away. So in that group, there is one person, Srinivas Acharya's father, he comes. He actually goes, he hasn't seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has just heard his name. He fell in love with his name. Falling in love with this name, and I actually read that, I came across a spiritual name of Supreme Lord. I also fell in love with it. I haven't seen him yet. Badri Vishal. Somehow that name Vishal sounds like a modern name, you know. Hi, I'm Vishal, like that. This time I couldn't go. I was in Rishikesh for a month. I just didn't get time to go to Badrinath. Beautiful name. I have seen the form of the Lord in artwork. Such a beautiful form of the Lord, Badri Vishal. He falls in love with this name, Chaitanya. So he goes to Mayapur, Navadvip Dham, and he asks, where is Sri Krishna Chaitanya? They say, like, don't you know he has gone to take sannyas, Katua, and he runs. Finally, he goes there. And he is also one among those members of the crowd, and he looks at him. And all he could mutter was, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. From that point, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, takes bath, does a Harinam, he moves on, he rolls on the ground, taking all the hair, taking all the hairs of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the dust smearing on his body. And it's given from that point onwards, he never spoke a word in his life except Sri Krishna Chaitanya for the rest of his life. So, that's the potency of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dressed as a renunciant, golden in effulgence, he bears the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya. All glories to that Lord Hari, who has appeared as the son of Mother Sachi. Next verse, text 4. All glories to Goddess Mathura Devi. Now he is paying obeisance. Initially he paid obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then to all the gopis headed by Srimati Radharani, now to Mathura. Mathura Devi. Devi is a term, technically it means goddess. So Mathura is also a personality. Devi also means one who is effulgent. So according to Skanda Puran, there are 7 principal holy cities, of which Mathura is the primary. Kashi, you might have come across Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, Ujjain, modern day Ujjain, Kanchi for Kanchipuram, Kashi, modern day also it's Kashi, Kashi Benares, Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, Mathura, Ayodhya, Mayapuri, but this Mayapuri refers to Haridwar, and Dwarka. So there are the 7 principal holy cities, very, very ancient cities. Kashi, Kanchi, Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, Mathura, Ayodhya, Mayapuri, this is Haridwar, and Dwarka. So Skanda Puran says, of these 7 principal cities, Mathura is the topmost. So all glories to Goddess Mathura Devi, the best of the holy cities. She enchants the mind. She is most dear to the enemy of Kamsa. Who is the enemy of Kamsa? Krishna. She is most dear to the enemy of Kamsa. Avanti is Ujjain. And she is adorned with Lord's birthplace. The city of Mathura is acclaimed throughout the world for dispelling misery and bestowing liberation and devotion, not to mention the various pastimes the Lord played there. Text 5. All glories to this place where we are living, Lord Murari's Vrindavan forest. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, it says there are 3 places in Vrajabhumi which brought maximum pleasure, Uttama Priti, that's the word that's given for Krishna Balram, both of them. Vrindavanam, Govardhanam, Yamuna Pulinanicha. Vrindavana, Govardhana, Yamuna Pulinanicha means Yamuna along with her banks. Pulinani is banks of Yamuna. These 3 places, Vikshya Shid, Uttama Priti. Simply, Vikshya means simply by seeing. Simply by seeing this, Rama Madhavayor Nripa. Simply by seeing this Rama and Madhava, which is Krishna and Balaram, simply by seeing these 3 places. What are the 3 places? Vrindavan, Govardhan and Yamuna along with her banks. Vikshashid Uttama Priti. They experienced maximum pleasure. It's given like that. All glories to this place where we are living, Lord Murari's Vrindavana forest. Which means, where is Sanatana Goswami writing this text from? Vrindavan. So he's writing right there, and that's why he's saying. He prefers residing here to residing in Vaikunta or in the hearts of elevated saints. In Vrindavana, while always tending his cows, he gives pleasure to the gopis whose love for him in the mood of the rasa dance, he increases by sweetly playing his flute. In regard to Mathura, it's given Nityam Sannihito Harihi, which means Supreme Lord Hari is eternally there in Mathura. But Acharyas explained, Vrindavan is still considered topmost because even though it's given regarding Mathura, Nityam Sannihito Harihi. Nityam means eternal, Sannihita means he is there, Hari, his Supreme Lord. Even though he is eternally there, he is not visible all the time. Does that make sense? In Mathura. Whereas in Vrindavana, he is visible to his devotees all the time. Because he loves the place so much, he always does his manifest pastime. All the time. Even when Krishna is performing pastime in Dwaraka, Mathura, you will still see pastimes of him in Vrindavan. Manifest pastimes. Even now, he is there. In Mathura, he is there eternally, but he is not visible. And you will come across in some places, as we progress through these chapters, you will come across all those subtle differences. I'll highlight as and when we go through them. So all glories to this place where we are living, Lord Murari's Vrindavana forest. He prefers residing here. So after Vrindavan, he would offer respects to, you will see, Govardhan and then Yamuna also. Text 6, all glories to Sri Yamuna, the daughter of the sun god and sister of Yamaraj. We study in Bhagavad Gita, Imam Vivashvate Yogam, Vivaswan. So Yamuna, Kalindi, she is daughter of sun god Vivaswan. And her brother is Yamaraj. Like when we study, Yama, Niyama. Yama means what? When we study the 8 limbs of yoga, Yama means what? Rules, no? Don'ts. Okay, don'ts is things you are not supposed to do is Yama. Things you are supposed to do is Niyama. So don'ts and do's. Okay, Ahimsa, don't kill. So that is a Yama. Like that you will come across. Ahimsa, Astaya, don't steal. Like that. Okay, so Yama means rules. Yama means things you are not supposed to do. Yama Raj means what? So you have somebody who is in charge to make sure everyone is following the rules. That's why he's called Yamaraj. Understand? So that is her brother. So he is offering respects. She is beloved of Krishna, the killer of Mura. She has made friends with Mathura district and has exceeded the greatness of Ganga Devi. Lord Varahadev, in Varaha Purana, there is a reference where he says, glorifying about Yamuna, saying, Yamuna, she is 100 times more sacred than Ganga. And compared to any other place in Mathura, the place where Krishna killed the demon Keshi, because of which he gets the name Keshava. He kills Keshi, and the place where he killed Keshi, that is given, it's even 100 times more sacred than even Mathura. And after killing Keshi, right next to Keshi Ghat, Krishna went and lied down just to take rest. And it's given, that place is even more 100 times sacred than the Keshi Ghat. So Varahadev says this, so it has to be true. So the glories of Yamuna is, she has made friends with Mathura district. Why? Because she is meandering around and reaching everywhere. So she is friends with everyone. Friends with the forest, friends with Mathura district. Because she meanders around all the area there. On the pretext of being a river, she carries the nectar flowing from Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Text 7. All glories to Govardhana, the emperor of lordly mountains. The Lord's dear gopis called him the best servant of Lord Hari. Hantaya Madri Rapala Haridasa Varya. Haridasa Varya. Varya means the best. Hari means the Supreme Lord. Haridasa means servant of the Supreme Lord. Haridasa Varya means best of the servants of the Supreme Lord. So, again, who is calling Govardhan as the best devotee? Gopis, which means it has to be true. All glories to Govardhana, the emperor of lordly mountains. The Lord's dear gopis call him the best servant of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna disrupted the sacrifice for the worship of Indra to worship Govardhana instead. And then the hill resided for a week on the Lord's lotus palm. All glories to Sri Krishna Prema Bhakti. And now he is glorifying pure love for Krishna. That the feet of Prema Bhakti secretly comprise all the truths of the Vedas. Liberation herself has come to worship her. Indeed, liberation abandoned by the Vaishnavas has now given up her dependence on mantras, penance, sacrifice and renunciation, and is eager to have the shelter of Prema Bhakti. A couple more verses. All glories to the all ecstatic name. So you look at the different personalities he is offering respects to. Who did he? Can anyone recollect whatever we discussed? Say one personality who he offered respects to so far. One of you? Dham. What Dham? Mathura. Okay. Any other? Lord Chaitanya. Good. Yamuna. Gopis and Radharani. Anyone else? Govardhan Hill. Good. So different personalities, and then Prema Bhakti. After Prema Bhakti, now he is offering his respects to Nam Prabhu, the holy name of the Lord. All glories to the all ecstatic name of Lord Murari. It makes one put aside such tasks as meditation, ritual worship and social duties. If a living being even once takes the Lord's holy name, the name will grant him liberation. That holy name is the greatest source of eternal pleasure and is my very life and ornament. Text 10. I bow down to Sri Krishna Chandra. Now he is offering respects to Lord Krishna finally. After offering respects to all the devotees and everything that's related to Krishna. I bow down to Sri Krishna Chandra, the bestower of unconditional mercy. In the modern age, he has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to distribute the taste of pure love. Now listen to this. This is the final text. This book collects the essence of the scriptures, teaching devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord. Now if you look at srimadbhagavatam, the very third verse, in the very first canto, Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Bhagavatam itself is given Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam, which means Bhagavatam itself is ripened fruit of the Vedic tree. It's given. How can you take essence out of even that? So with that we can understand, if a literature claims itself to be even the essence of the ripened fruit, how much more thick concentrated juice there must be in this. That's why it's rated on par with the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada himself recommended us to read. You can read this. It's written by Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu. I'll just finish with this verse, the final verse. This book collects the essence of the scriptures, teaching devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord. These essential teachings I have personally realized under the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Says Srila Sanatana Goswami. I received them from his dear devotee Sri Rupa. He is offering his respects even to his younger brother. However, if you go to Rupa Goswami's literature, he says, Srila Sanatana Goswami is my spiritual master. But here, it's like the opposite. Because they never feel, Prabhupada himself says in one place, in one purport, actually in Bhagavatam, in this particular context, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who is a sannyasi, he is the spiritual master, he is a Paramahamsa. He is the spiritual master and Parishit Maharaj is his student. Even though he's, not even though he's a Grahastha, but Prabhupada says, actually they could have easily swapped their role. Both are on the same platform, Prabhupada says. Parishit Maharaj is also elevated. Same position as Shukadeva Goswami. Even though Prabhupada says he's a Grahastha. So similar context, Prabhupada says in another place when Vyasadeva is taking instructions from Narada Muni. Narada Muni is a sannyasi, Vyasadeva is a Grahastha. But Prabhupada says, but actually Vyasadeva is Shakti Avatar of Supreme Lord himself. But he is showing us, even though he can also swap. He can actually be the spiritual master of Narada Muni. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam. Here he is teaching, just like how Lord Ramachandra, he took his Vashishta as his guru, Krishna took Shandipani as his guru. Like that, he is actually showing us by example. So like that, here we see their mood. Rupa Goswami, even though materially speaking, he is not materially, there's nothing material about them. But by birth, if you see he is younger than him, he is still taking his blessings like that. May the Vaishnavas kindly hear this confidential scripture. Sri Bhagavatamrta, Jaimini Rishi spoke it to King Janamejaya in the enthusiasm of pure love. And then it starts the history which we just discussed. So next week I'll quickly recap that history and then we'll move to Narada Muni's quest for finding the devotee who received maximum mercy of the Supreme Lord. We'll stop here. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad ki, Shri brihadbhagavatamrita ki, devotees of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai, devotees in Mayapur TV, YouTube and Facebook ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Krishna
Ghanashyam Govinda Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.